Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar presented by Transfer Express. My name is Andy Curtis, and I am the Sales and Service Training Coordinator here at Transfer Express. I am happy to join you on this absolutely gorgeous June afternoon. I hope that it is as beautiful where you're at as it is here. We have a break from the icky heat we've had the last couple of days, and it is a gorgeous 60-something degrees out there, blue skies and breezy. So I hope everyone is having a fantastic day thus far, and I am so happy that you've chosen to join me for Selling Custom Apparel to Niche Markets. It should be a really fun webinar today. This is a neat topic that we've tap danced around in the past. If you've joined me before, you know that we come to you once a month here, and I like to talk to you about different topics. We sometimes talk about sports-related things, sometimes marketing-related things. The whole purpose of us coming to you is to help educate, to help give you ideas, to help broaden your horizons, to think of things that you might not have thought of before, and it's an absolute pleasure for me to be able to do so. Anyhow, we're going to talk about niche markets today, and it's funny because a lot of these things we've sort of tap danced around in the past. We've tiptoed around these topics, but we haven't really actually sat and talked about what a niche market is and how you can get into it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it should be a fun webinar for everybody today, and I hope, beyond anything else, that you come away with some ideas, with some things to try, some things that you go, holy cow, I hadn't thought of that before. So hopefully, if nothing else, we give everyone some great ideas. In the meantime, before we get started here, if you've joined me before, you know the drill. There is a chat box you can type questions into. You're more than welcome to do so. I will do my best to answer them throughout the course of the webinar. If I do not actually answer your question that you type into the box, you will get an email from one of us here at Transfer Express, myself or one of my marketing henchmen. You'll get an email from one of us at the end answering your questions. So please feel free to ask any questions you have as we go. I do get little chat boxes that pop up at the corner of my window so I can see most of what you guys are saying. So anyhow, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. I thought that the best way to start this off, if we're going to talk about niche markets and marketing and all that stuff, we should probably talk about what in the world that means. So we're going to discuss what exactly I'm talking about before we actually get into some marketing strategies and stuff. But so this is from businessdictionary.com, and if you've joined me before, you know I hate reading word for word off of a slide, but I'm going to read this to you because I think it's worth it. Concentrating all marketing efforts on a small but specific, well-defined segment. That's what niche marketing is, concentrating all marketing efforts on a small but specific, well-defined segment. Niches do not exist, but are created by identifying needs, wants, and requirements that are being addressed poorly or not at all, and developing and delivering services to satisfy them. So the whole concept here, a niche market is a group of people, some kind of market, some kind of group or organization or a group of organizations that they require some kind of specific need, something different than the rest of the masses, something different than everybody else, and no one's providing it for them, or no one's really providing it for them the way they need it to be provided. That's what a niche market is. And we sometimes in our industry, and I know that if you've watched our past webinars, we do tend to cater to the big markets. We talk a lot about football and baseball and soccer. We talk a lot about all those sports markets because, let's face it, a lot of us in the imprinted sportswear industry, a lot of us in the decorating industry, this is what we do. We do a lot of these sports things, but those are the big markets. So what about the little groups? What about all those other little people out there that still need shirts and such? But I mean, let's face it, you can go to any big city and you can probably find a soccer shop. I know if we search downtown Cleveland, we could find a soccer shop or a football shop. Here in Mentor, Ohio, we have one of the biggest baseball shops you'd ever see, actually. So those are targeting those the big markets, those bigger players in the industry. But what about the smaller markets? What about the small groups that still require the decoration? They still require something from you. They're just not the ones who are biggest and loudest and sticking out quite so much. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about finding these small groups who may not be as big as the football industry, they may not be as big as the baseball industry, but they still are there, and they're looking for somebody to help them. And we're going to talk about how you can take some steps to servicing that little niche market, that group of people, that specific segment of people who still need help and aren't really getting it from anybody. Or maybe they're getting help, but it's not somebody concentrating on them. So again, hopefully, if nothing else, we give you some ideas here. But the whole point is be the big fish in the small pond. That's the thought process behind these niche markets, being the big fish in the small pond as opposed to the small fish in the big pond. Think about that for a second. And this is largely dependent upon where you're at in the country, too, keep in mind. But if you are in one of those cities that is huge on football, the local football team, the professional football team, the college football team, or maybe all of the above, Columbus, Ohio is a lot like that. They've got the Browns north of us and another team south of us, and then they've got the Ohio State, of course, and the local high schools and all that. So Columbus, Ohio is big into football. If you're going to try and bust into the football industry in a city like that, it's going to be a little bit harder. You're going to be you're going to be the small fish in the big pond. It's a massive pond. It's a massive industry. It's a massive business out there, and you're going to be a tiny little fish starting off in there. And it's difficult. Not that it can't be done and that you shouldn't try, but that's hard. Instead, try being the big fish in the smaller pond. What about an industry in that area that is still looking for shirts, still looking for apparel, still looking for attention somehow, but they're not getting it because they're being overshadowed by this massive football population? That's what we're looking for. That's what we're talking about. And I'm going to do my best to throw out some ideas today and to give you some concepts of some of these markets that might be hiding in your backyard that you might not know about. And that's where I'm going to challenge you all to sort of try to think outside the box a little bit. Don't sit there and think that I know my city completely. I've tried everything. This is not anything new, Andy. You're not going to help me out. Try to think outside the box a little bit, because I've lived in Mentor, Ohio, and if you've joined me before, you know I'm going to use Mentor as an example here. I've lived in Mentor, Ohio most of my life since I was 3 years old, and it's funny because you think you know a place, and there's always something new. There's always something that you didn't know that's going on. The world around you changes. So hopefully, if nothing else, open up your mind a little bit, think outside the box, and I guarantee you that you might find a niche market somewhere, a group of people somewhere in your area that are perfect for you to service, that need apparel or bags or some kind of decorated material that you could be servicing. So why bother? Why go to all this effort? Why sit here and talk about how to market to these people instead of to the football crowd or the baseball crowd, et cetera, et cetera? Well, we've already talked about how to market to the baseball and the football crowd. But aside from that, there are some definite benefits to marketing to the niche markets. Less competition, because if you set yourself up as the primary supplier to one of these small niche markets, it's a niche market because nobody else is servicing them, because nobody else is taking care of them. So your competition goes down a little bit. Profits can be a little bit higher because you have this perceived value of an exclusive item. Because everybody makes football stuff, everybody makes baseball stuff, but how many people make math club shirts? How many people make drama club shirts, et cetera, et cetera? So you've got this perceived, this concept of you are providing this exclusive item, this unique item, so your profits, you can technically charge a little bit more for some of this stuff. And you become the expert in this area. It's funny to me when I talk to some of our dealers who have mastered this concept of niche marketing. I have a particular customer I talk to very frequently who has cornered the wrestling tournament industry in her area. Not wrestling, high school wrestling, not anything else, just wrestling tournaments. And I thought it was just the funniest thing. How many wrestling tournaments can you have? But lo and behold, it's funny how you can become the expert in this topic. You know what they need. You know what the parents want. When you start to research and you start to get into some of these niches, you become totally versed in what they need, what they want, who the people are, what their desires are, and what you can sell to them. It's easier for you to reach your target market. It's easier for you to communicate with them. You have established yourself as this person to go to for them. Now, the catch is with any of these to get your foot in the door, and we're going to talk about that as well. Getting your foot in the door can be the hard part, And once you have your foot in the door, you can, of course, advertise, well, here are ideas that I've used on past groups. Here are some ideas I've used on past clubs. Here's some, et cetera, et cetera. You can always pull that card after you've gotten established. The catch is to get established. The catch is to prove to them you have ideas, you have valid concepts, you have a product that they need. So we're going to talk about some of that as we go today, as we give you some ideas. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about some of these niche markets. And keep in mind that all of the ideas, or about 99% of the ideas that I'm about to show you on the next upcoming slides, were produced by our brand new EasyView Online Designer. If you have not had a chance to play with the new EasyView Online Designer, then you must have missed it or been under a rock. Our new EasyView Online Designer is phenomenal. You simply have to have a dealer ID number and a password to access it. It's a lot of fun. So most of the examples you're going to see today were created using the EasyView Online Designer. So just FYI. And keep in mind that half the battle with winning the confidence of these groups, half the battle with snagging the business from these people, is showing them ideas, is showing them what you're capable of, okay? Show them what designs you can do for the math club, for the playwrights, for the groups that we're going to talk about today. What ideas do you have? So, for example, I'm going to show you some ideas for Math and Science Club. Now, is there any high school out there that's really going to make a shirt for Pi Day, March 14th, 314, Pi Day? No. They're not going to make a shirt for Pi Day. But the point is to show them what you're capable of. And if nothing else, it gives them ideas of other places they could go, other things they could do with the custom apparel. So keep in mind that some of these examples, you might look at it and go, who's really going to make a shirt for that? But the whole point is to put the idea out there. Okay, so the personalized shirts and the add-in names. Now, this is sort of a general, this is a real broad category, but it's actually a really neat idea. What you can do is you can establish yourself as that person that's got all the really cool personalized stuff. Now, the best example, I like the black one here at the top right. Our hearts belong to Daddy, Sophia, Ariel, Michael. Now, that's the shirt that was made. Now, if you look directly to the right of that, we're showing you the gang sheet that we printed. Our hearts belong to Daddy, our hearts belong to Grandpa, and then a whole bunch of hearts. And the concept here is you cut the our hearts belong to Daddy, and then you cut a heart, the our hearts belong to Grandpa. I apologize there. Ooh, still on the niche slide. Okay. Ooh, hold on. Well, it seems like there might be a delay, guys. I'm really sorry about that. There we go. All right, everybody's with me. Don't you love technology? Okay, all right. So okay, there we go. Got it, Sheila. Okay, so now let's start the slide over then. All right, so the whole concept here is adding a name to personalize a shirt. Okay, so these might not be designs that are out in the left field. They might not be designs that are 5, 6, 7 colors, but the idea is to create a design that is personalized, and that becomes your sort of niche area. Personalizing names, personalizing mommy, daddy, personalizing that kind of stuff. And I mean personalized down to a name level is what we're talking about here. So the black shirt at the top right, we've got Our Hearts Belong to Daddy with some names. And what we've done on the right-hand side in that little square shape, that is the picture of the gang sheet. And what you do is we print that up for you looking just like that. Our hearts belong to Daddy, our hearts belong to Grandpa, and then a whole bunch of hearts. And all you do is cut it apart. You cut off the Daddy, the Our Hearts Belong to Daddy. You cut off the Our Hearts Belong to Grandpa, and you cut all the hearts apart. And now what you can do is when some daddy or some grandpa, and of course you can use this for mommy and grandma and auntie and all that kind of stuff, but when somebody sees this, you say, oh, well, here, I've got this Our Hearts Belong to Daddy design, and what I can do is I can print your daughter's names and then hearts next to each daughter, or we could do hearts around the daughters. Or the point is you'll have all these hearts, then you simply order one of our express names. Our express names are on a same-day turnaround when they're placed by 10 a.m., or 11 a.m., I apologize, in by 11. order the express names. They ship same day if they're in by 11, and you can use the express names, individual names, to personalize the design. So you've got this Our Hearts Belong to Daddy, which is real cute, and you can sell that at certain events in certain places in your shop, your retail shop. But then you take it a step further by offering those names. And again, what's funny is you can price this in such a fashion that the Our Hearts Belong to Daddy only costs you X amount for the t-shirt. But for $3 or $4 per name, we can add your kids' names on here, or not even 3 or 4 or $2 per name, however you want to handle it. There's a lot of fun ways you can handle the pricing on that product to sort of kick it up a notch, you know what I mean? And then the pink bag at the bottom is another example of that same concept. It's a Susan thing. So what you've done here is you have the then you leave a big blank space, and then the word thing you wouldn't understand. So where Susan is, you would print up a whole bunch of those transfers with a big blank area there, say 3 inches tall, a 3-inch tall blank space. Then somebody sees this generic It's a Susan thing you wouldn't understand design, oh, that's so cute, I like that idea. So then you order a 3-inch tall express name with Joanne or Laura or Lisa, whoever's ordered it, and now you can take that transfer that you had a couple of those printed up with a big blank space, apply that, peel the transfer, then put the express name into the 3-inch blank space, cover the whole thing with a cover sheet, press it again, and boom, you've got a customized It's a Susan thing. And again, that's the same process you would use for that Our Hearts Belong to Daddy. Depending on how you're handling it, you would press the Our Hearts Belong to Daddy portion first, peel it, then you'd put down the express names and the hearts and wherever you want those to go, just like that, and then cover the whole thing with a cover sheet, press it, and peel it. Okay. So now you can continue this idea in a whole bunch of different ways. It's just a neat idea. It's a neat concept. And what you do is you can test these out. You can try them out. Have these designs in your shop. See who is curious about which designs. And this is where our Easy View is real super useful. You hit our Easy View, you come up with a couple concepts for It's a Susan thing or Our Hearts Belong to Daddy or whatever. Find some generic concepts where you can just do the whole insert a family member, insert a name thing, and then print them up and see who's interested. Poll your friends, poll your customers who walk into your shop. Show them, hey, here's some ideas. What do you think? What do you think is cool? What would you order? And as you sell these a little bit, as you begin to establish yourself in any of these niches, you see what is popular, see what people do like. Maybe it comes under shirt colors even. But the whole point is to get the idea out there, to get that concept in your shop, to get it out there and see what you can hit with it. Okay, so this is a real broad one. This is a real broad niche market, but we're going to sort of narrow the focus a little bit here with the next one. Okay. So hopefully the slide changes for everybody. I apologize for the slowness or the slide problems that might happen here, guys. So I apologize. The next slide here is showers, bachelorette, and weddings. Now, this is one of those things. Okay, good, it worked fine. This is one of those things where some of the concepts I'm going to show you today are largely based on where you live, and some of them are definitely not. This is one of those that no matter where you are at in the country, there are wedding showers, bridal showers, baby showers, bachelorettes, weddings. These things happen all over the country. So this is one of these ideas that you can totally take it and run with it in a whole bunch of different directions. And thankfully, again, we have a whole bunch of designs made up for these concepts. So before you've gotten your foot in the door, the idea is to hit Easy View, to hit our website, and you can steal some of these ideas right from our website, and you show your customers, you show these people what you're capable of doing. Once you've done a couple wedding designs, a couple bachelorette designs, et cetera, use those designs that you created and show them, hey, here's what I did for the one shower, here's what I did for the one wedding, here's one of my standard bachelorette designs, etc. So that helps to establish the fact that, hey, this person knows what they're talking about. They've done weddings, they've done bachelorette shirts before, and hey, here's a cool design that somebody else liked, etc. It establishes you as somebody who knows what you're doing, you have artwork, and you know what people want. So now, and it's funny because, again, just looking at this from a standpoint of myself, outsider looking in, we have a ton of girls this proper age working here at Transfer Express. And I swear we see 3 or 4 of these type things every couple of months, and it's just funny the things that come across, the different wedding designs and bachelorette shirts, and just the girls in my office alone is what I'm talking about. Just the girls in my office alone. If you establish yourself as somebody who can handle these types of designs, and again, it's easy as making some flowers, or not flowers, I'm sorry, some flyers. It's easy as making some flyers, hanging them up in the appropriate places. A lot of the different areas around our city have community bulletin boards. I know one of the local grocery stores has a community bulletin board. A lot of the local eateries have community bulletin boards. So being able to pin up a flyer in the right couple places, the library is another good spot, and then doing a cheap postcard concept, that's another good way to get this kind of idea out there. Or even just having a stack of little takeaway postcards in your retail shop for your customers who do walk in. Because let's face it, even if you don't know somebody who is getting married or doing a bachelorette or doing a baby shower, wedding shower, whatever, everybody knows somebody. I can name 3 people right now off the top of my head in my life alone who are doing either a baby shower, a bachelorette, or a wedding. So the point is, there are a ton of people out there who are doing these activities, and a lot of them have shirts made for that exact concept. I go out on the weekends and I see at least one person every weekend in downtown Cleveland who is wearing a bachelor party design, a bachelorette design, last fling before the ring. Another real favorite that everybody loves is bridesmaid on the bridesmaid shirts, maid of honor on the maid of honor shirts, and then bride on the bride shirt. So labeling everybody like that, even if there isn't a design, even if it's just labeling. So that's all sorts of fun ideas. And I'm going to throw it out there too, that this whole concept, these ideas of weddings, bachelorette, and showers, these are the places where you can really make use of our rhinestones and our foil as well. Because this is a topic that loves bling. Some of the other niches we're going to talk about today, they might not be very blingy. But this is a topic, this is a market that loves bling, okay? These are the people that you're going to be able to sell the rhinestones to. And the picture here, we're showing you our bride design. That is one of the rhinestone designs that we sell. And I'm going to throw it out there, too, that if you're looking for custom rhinestones in regards to bachelorette, wedding, showers, that kind of stuff, we can help you there, too. So this is definitely an area to bling out. So even if you come up with a simple text, even if you don't go for the crazy flowers or the ring like you see on our slide right here, even if you go with simple text, you can always bling it out with some rhinestones or some foil. So again, like I said, you see people wearing the shirts that just label them bridesmaid, mother of the bride, maid of honor, bride, that kind of stuff. Even if you just do those simple label t-shirts, bust out some rhinestones, bust out some foil, and you can spruce that stuff up and make it something that attracts attention. So definitely something to think about. All right, so let's move on to our next market here. Let's move on to camps. So this is a real broad one, and it's kind of funny because when we were talking about this one as a group, this one actually stopped and made me think for a minute, because there are a ton of camps out there in the world. And again, I'm just going to use Mentor, Ohio here is the example, because Mentor is where I live. This is the area I know. In our area of Northeast Ohio, right on the lake, I can name off the top of my head right now 3 camps that do overnight camp for schools, for Boy Scouts, and for that kind of stuff. And that's so there's 3 camps, and they're busy all summer. I can tell you just from experience. I know that we have a local band camp in our area somewhere. I recall hearing about it back in high school, and I know that Northeast Ohio loves its sports, and there are definitely football camps out there as well. So the whole point is there are a ton of different camps that are out in any area, and even if you're not sure of what they are, where they are, it takes a little bit of research, it takes a little bit of digging, but you can certainly find them. And we're talking any kind of camp. It doesn't have to be a sports-related camp. It can be just a general summer camp. It can be a day camp even. I know the city of Mentor, for example, has a local day camp for little kids. So this is definitely a real broad topic. And the whole point is to show these camps what you're capable of. Show them one of our camp designs like the ones that you see here, And then you go from there. You show them what you're capable of, you get somebody to order something, and then you can show the camps in the future, hey, well, the one camp, this is what we did for them, or the summer camp, this is what we did for them, et cetera, et cetera. And this is one that you're going to have to hit the internet, you're going to have to Google, you're going to have to do a little bit of research in your area, or one of the other good strategies here, again, I don't know if your city is anything like our city, but we have a local newsletter that goes out, the City of Mentor, and it tells you all sorts of goings-on and different things for the kids to do and for the adults to do. All the camps are listed in those things. And the junk mail that you could be thrown out. So the whole idea is to pay attention, to look around, to be observant, and to do a little bit of digging, and you might be surprised who you can nail down in terms of an activity or a group. And then it just becomes an issue of getting your name out there, approaching them, sending them a letter, giving them a phone call, saying, hey, I'm such and such t-shirt shop. I would love to show you what we're capable of. We have great introductory prices, et cetera, however you want to fill in the blanks there. Definitely something to think about. So camp's real broad, and think outside the box. Don't just go sports. That's kind of the theme to this webinar, if you hadn't noticed. Don't just think sports. Think outside of the box. There's more than just sports out there. Think of the Boy Scout camps and the Girl Scout camps, and think of the band camps, and think of the overnight camps, the civic center camps. The recreation department in your city might do some kind of day camp. Okay, so this is a funny one because my first reaction when we started talking about this as a group was, how many math and science clubs are there really out there? But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to one-up you on this topic. Instead of just talking math and science clubs, let's talk about school clubs in general. So I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question here. You don't have to answer anything, but how many schools are there in your area? Think of junior highs and high schools, not just in your city, but the next city over and the next city over, and maybe your county even. How many junior highs and high schools are there? Think about that for a second, because all the junior highs and high schools in my area all have clubs, okay? There was a math club, there was a science club, at my junior high at least, there was a computer club, there was a recycling club even, as funny as that sounds, I was a member. So there's all sorts of clubs out there at all of these local schools. So now think about it for a second. These clubs need shirts, right? All these clubs are definitely organizations. They need some kind of catchy shirts. And this was what I was talking about earlier, actually, at the very beginning. The shirt in the middle here, our Compton Eagles Pi Day, the 314. Is a high school really going to make a Pi Day shirt? Maybe not. But the whole point is to give them an idea, to show the math club, here's a concept. And maybe they don't make a Pi Day shirt, but maybe they go somewhere else with it. Maybe they just make it, we love Pi, Memorial Math Club, etc. There's a whole bunch of different places you can go with this. And just like I'm trying to give you ideas, that's what you do with your customer. That's what you do with these clubs when you nail them down. And again, doing a little bit of research here, Googling your local high schools and junior highs, super easy. I can tell you from experience that right in the city of Mentor, we've got 3 junior highs and 1 high school. And doing just a quick couple Google hits, I can tell you what clubs the schools have. So then it becomes an issue of, okay, well, can I find out who the advisors are? If you can find out who the advisors are, then it's really easy to target these people. You can usually find a teacher's email or a mailing address even for that teacher, putting it to their attention, or even calling that teacher, calling the advisors of these clubs just to put yourself out there, to tell them who you are. Doesn't have to be a long message, doesn't have to be too sales pitchy. So the whole point is to identify who these people are, identify these potential clients, these small groups, and then nail it. And what's funny is, too, where you can go with this is once you hit the math club, the science club, once one of those clubs does shirts with you, then you can take it to the other clubs in the same school and say, hey, I did shirts for the math club, and I just wanted to show you what I was capable of doing for the computer club, for the singing club, for fill in the blank. So definitely kind of funny. So while I'm showing you some ideas for math and science club shirts, I would challenge you to take this to the next step, to think of not just the math and science, but think of the other clubs out there. And go beyond the high school, too. Here's another thought for you. Again, I'm going to use the city that I live in as an example. In Mentor, we have a recreation department, and the recreation department sponsors a whole bunch of stuff. There's a painting club that meets at one of the local centers here in Mentor. What about doing shirts for the painting club? I know the Senior Citizen Center has several little clubs and groups that they do. So think outside of the boundaries of a school, too. Think of where clubs meet. Think of who forms clubs. And it might be a little bit more difficult to find some of those people, but the whole point is to think outside the box a little bit, because these are all people who could use shirts. Okay, and maybe they've thought about it, maybe they've kicked around getting shirts, maybe the painting club has thought about doing some kind of cute splattery painting design on a shirt before, but let's face it, who has the time? And when you think about it, it's late at night and blah, blah, blah. So they could use a phone call from you. They could use a postcard or flyer from you, to that kick in the pants they need to actually galvanize them and get them to do the shirts. The next one here we've got is drama and theater. Now, this is another one where we're going to broaden our horizons a little bit. You can almost connect this to the slide before and think drama theater club for a high school. So you can almost sort of relate it to the last slide. But again, I would challenge you to think outside the box a little bit, because I know that if you search your city a little bit, you will find a theater community somewhere. Maybe not your city, maybe it's the next city over. But I see somebody's asking about full color. The full color design on the left, the Seussical design, I believe was done with our CAD print product, which would make sense because there's a whole bunch of colors there and you wouldn't want to screen print all those colors. It'd be kind of pricey. And I think, I can't quite remember if our Annie, I think Annie over there on the right-hand side was screen printed, but it's only 4 colors on the Annie, or not even 4 colors if you do the blackish show-through. But anyhow, the theater CAD prints, Janice, CAD prints for Seussical. So when we're talking drama and theater, think outside the high school. Think about the theater community, the drama community around your area. There's pockets of them everywhere. Everybody loves the theater, and they're present somewhere in your area one way or another. Okay? Or maybe not think outside the high school. Maybe go straight for the high school. Once you show the drama club what you're capable of, you're pretty much assured that if it's anything like the drama club here in Mentor, you're pretty much assured an order every year if they like what you do, because they do every school year at least one big production. So if nothing else, it snags you a once yearly design, a once yearly order that can be pretty substantial depending on the size of the high school. And again, this is where you can show them what you can do. So take it out of the box a little bit, and instead of just doing these front designs, showing them that you're capable of doing Annie, Seussical, whatever, show them cast lists for the back of the shirt. I know our school loved those. When they sold the shirts that had the front design we had done Steel Magnolias my high school year. They had the Steel Magnolias design on the front, and then on the back they had a cast list of all the kids who played what roles. Those sold really well. Everyone loved that. It was a great memory. And remember, we've talked about this in past webinars if you've joined me before. Remember, you're making memories here. That's the focus. You're not making money necessarily. I mean, we are making money, but you're making memories for your customers. So that's what's cool about the cast list concept. And maybe your school hasn't thought about it. Maybe they don't know that they can do that, maybe, etc. So using our easy view process, using our online designer, you can make a mock-up. You can make, and just use, generic names and pick a generic musical, whatever. You can, just like we did here, our little mock-up of Clearview High School Presents Annie. This is using names of our employees, actually. So the whole point is you can make a mock-up and show them what you can do, just to give ideas for, just to put it out there, you know what I mean? All right, so vacations. Our next niche is vacations, and this is one of those that it's going to be largely based on your area. Now, there are some places that you might have to stretch a little bit for the vacation thing, but if you're living in, let's face it, if you're living in certain parts of Florida, certain parts of California, this is probably a pretty big market for you. This is probably an easy thing for you to target one way or another. But vacation spots, think of vacation spots in your area. And remember, we've talked about this in one of our past webinars, actually. We talked about how you can target the vacation spot themselves, where you could actually sell to the small vacation area, like the Wild Zipline Safari Company. You could sell to that actual company, or you can sell to the families going to these locations. Okay, so just it's sort of capitalizing off of that vacation spot, and that's where you can maybe contact the vacation spot and introduce yourselves, what you do, and how you want to market shirts to people who are going to their location, etc. You never know what you can drum up in that area to alliances and business relationships, that kind of thing. But the point is, you can either sell these shirts to the location or to the families. And again, this is as simple as putting the right flyers in the right people's hands, having the little giveaways in your shop, sending out mail to your particular customers, always keeping a mailing list of who you work with so you can show them, mail them out to people. Because remember, once you snag business from one family or from one organization, it's the word of mouth thing that can take it from there. So, but anyhow, vacations are another great idea, and it's funny here because the photos in the slide here are actual live. They're actually great examples of some of our employees and the vacations they've taken and the shirts they made for them. So just an idea here too. Oh, and you know what? Yvette just mentioned something to throw out there too. A niche that I'm not going to talk about in this particular webinar: sororities and fraternities. That is a big niche, and you know, and it's almost maybe too big to be called a niche market, to be honest with you, but sororities and fraternities are another great small group of people who definitely need shirts, and there are customers, we do have customers that work with us here at Transfer Express, that is their whole business. So that's a great example, Yvette. So let's move on, family reunions. Now, I'm going to one-up you on this one also, because I'm going to tell you that when we talk about family reunions, some of these topics sort of go hand in hand with other topics, and it's kind of funny, like chocolate and peanut butter, you know. Family reunions sort of go hand in hand with the church crowd too, and churches are another one where you probably can't call it a niche market because in some cities the church market is huge. But family reunions, the church market, they tend to go hand in hand. They tend to be pretty interrelated. But family reunions are super popular because it seems that no matter what happens to our economy, no matter what is going on in our country, we know that families are going to get together. We know that people are going to visit one another. We know that they're going to stay in touch. And when you have a family reunion, maybe it's my family, I don't know, but there's always shirts. There's always shirts involved. I feel like every summer I'm making shirts for either my family or my aunt's family or my cousin's family or somebody. But the whole point here is there's a couple directions you can go with family reunions. You can do a generic design like you see on the left or in the middle here, where we've just got Gatineau family reunion or Jackson family reunion, 15th annual, or there's all sorts of cute sayings, of course, too, and this is where you're going to hit the internet and do some digging. There's all sorts of fun little themes, the family that prays together stays together, etc., etc. But then you've also got the design on the right here, Butler family reunion, where you do some names. You do grandma and grandpa at the bottom of the tree. You do all the aunts and uncles and the kids further out. So the whole point, you come up with some of these ideas, have them in your shop, put them on flyers, just like I've been saying the whole time. It's another great small market that we have customers who do business with us here at Transfer Express. I can think of a couple people off the top of my head right now who this is what they do. This is all their business. If I go through their account right now, I can tell you that just about almost every single order will be a family reunion order. Okay, so this is a great niche to fall into. And you know what's funny is you can almost tie it in with the vacation slide we were just talking about, because we know if you're going to do a family reunion, you're going to do a family trip, maybe it's to Disney World, maybe it's to some kind of vacation spot. So you can almost sort of tie some of these together like that. So again, family reunions, another popular topic that definitely is a group to make some money off of. On-site tournaments is another one. Now, if you missed my webinar, I believe we did it last month, or maybe it was the month before, but we just did a webinar on on-site printing. I went into crazy detail on on-site printing, so obviously I'm not going to repeat all of it here right now. It was a good 45-minute webinar that day. But on-site tournaments is another great concept, and you can make a whole boatload of money off of these on-site tournaments. And it doesn't have to be tournaments. It can be on-site carnivals. It can be on-site events in general. So don't think just sports tournament. Think festivals and carnivals and all that kind of stuff. And what's funny is these are the types of things where it is easy to track these down, especially if we're talking about outside of the sports thing, if we're talking about outside tournaments, thinking of festivals and carnivals and stuff. Just this morning, and it's funny because I thought of this webinar and I wanted to tell all of you all that this morning I just got an email from a newsletter that I belong to called Festival Chaser, where it's just a lady who does this newsletter of all the festivals in Northeast Ohio. Everything you could possibly think of. Some of it I've heard of, stuff I've never heard of before. And I thought to myself, gosh, that's so funny, because it's like perfect fodder for somebody in the garment decoration industry, because it's this list of all these upcoming tournaments and upcoming festivals and carnivals and stuff. And all you do is get a hold of the organizer. You get a hold of the people throwing the event, and you find out, hey, can I set up a booth? Can I set up a space? How much does it cost me? What am I allowed to do? What is the room? Is there electrical, et cetera, et cetera? You take your heat press with you. You have one or two specific designs, and keep in mind, this depends too. If we're talking a sports tournament, then you want one specific design for the tournament, and then some generic designs. Or if it's just a carnival, if it's just local, like, for example, here in the city of Mentor, we have what we call every year the It's Better in Mentor Carnival Festival. And at that festival, you wouldn't really want to make shirts for It's Better in Mentor. You would have a whole bunch of just generic designs, some really cool personalized designs, some really neat, fancy stock-type designs, just generic designs. But the whole point is... and good for you, Ken. See, we'll be at the Cal Expo this weekend. See, that's what I'm talking about. Keep an eye out for expos and carnivals and events, that kind of stuff in your area. And there's a ton. Ohio is big on this stuff. There's a lot going on. It's June. There's probably some place to be every weekend. The whole catch is just to find out where. And bear in mind, once you've done this once or twice, you establish yourself as an expert in this area, and you can use that next time you get a hold of another event organizer. You can tell them, hey, I can do for you guys what I did for such and such and such and such and such and such. So definitely another idea there. Martial arts. This is one of those groups you might not have thought about, and it's funny because I know going through my junk mail here at home once in a while, I am always staggered by how many karate schools, martial arts schools there are in just tiny little Mentor, Ohio. I think we're up to 3 or 4 now, to be honest with you, and that's just Mentor. I'm not even talking about the cities around us or next to us, so I can't help but laugh because there's so many. But the whole point is, this is another great market, and we're talking about a group of people who are, it's really is a sport. Martial arts is a sport. They are just as proud as the football players and the baseball players and such, if not actually even more so. I tapped into this once. I did shirts for my younger sister's martial arts school, and lo and behold, if a competitor school didn't actually get a hold of me and ask for shirts too. Now, I didn't take it too far, but the whole point is, it's funny how a lot of these places will see what the other places are doing and find out, well, where did they get it from and how did they do it, and I want the same thing. Janice, your question is a goof-proof product? It could be goof-proof, Janice, sure. Any of the designs you see on this screen could easily be goof-proof or hot split or polytrans, any of our screen printed transfer types, actually. Gymnastics is a good one. Great, Martin. That's a fantastic point. I have a customer out of Columbus, Ohio, who had a fantastic story about going from a niche market, doing just gymnastics, to opening her own T-shirt shop down there and doing a whole sports theme. It's kind of funny where those things can go, but gymnastics, that's another fantastic one. So, and you can tie it into martial arts, actually. So, and again, figuring out where to market these two is just as easy as going through your junk mail, hitting Google, finding out what schools are in the area. They advertise. It's usually pretty easy to find them. And here's another one, and I don't know if you all have thought about this one before, but we have a lot of customers actually that I can think of that specialize in police and fire. Police and fire are one of those groups that they need shirts. They And depending on the city you live in, some of these firefighters especially are totally willing to pay for 3 or 4 colors depending on their design. Actually, we have customers that order from us where the firefighters have made their own alt design. They don't want something generic. They have their own artwork even, and that's a fantastic customer to have. Yes, they're a little specific, but you know that they have that pride thing going on, and you know they're going to need shirts, and if they need shirts, maybe they need stickers, maybe they need other stuff and giveaways for the community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the police and the fire, this is a really cool niche to get into, and it takes a little bit of work. Again, tracking down who does the ordering, who's in charge of it, but establishing to them what you're capable of doing, showing them, hey, here's my ideas, here's what I can do, show them a Maltese design, show them some generic text, find something cute and cartoony, colorful, just to show them the sheer range of what you're capable of. And then once you get your foot in the door, it's just a matter of showing the other stations, the other police, the other fire stations, here is something that I've done for another company. Are you interested? I can do this for you, et cetera, et cetera. So definitely another fun market, and we do a lot of business with police and fire too. So reflective. Yeah, Lynette. In the middle design here, the word police is reflective, and in the right design, the word fire is reflective. We do not do a custom reflective transfer here at Transfer Express currently. We do have packs of certain words, such as fire, police, EMS, chief, and security, I believe. We do packs of those words in certain specific sizes that you can purchase that are reflective. If you are looking for custom reflective, our sister company, Stalls ID Direct, has a whole slew of reflective products that are safety tested and such. So, but anyhow, police and fire, huge possibilities there. And as we're starting to wrap up here, getting towards the end, the travel teams. Travel teams are another one. Now, this is funny because these are not necessarily related to the high school. So we're back to sports again. We're not talking about the high school baseball team, the high school soccer team. We're talking about the travel teams. They're not necessarily related to the high school, so you're not going to snag their business that way. They're teams that are traveling. They do all across. I have a friend who was in a traveling team, soccer team in Pennsylvania, and they traveled all over Pennsylvania from east to west in Pennsylvania, and then when they won their championship, they went to New England, et cetera, et cetera. The travel teams are a fantastic niche to get into because not only does the team itself need uniforms, but then the relatives of the team members need fanware, and then of course they need stuff to sell at the tournaments, et cetera, et cetera. So you see where I'm going with this, where you can totally take the whole travel team concept and run with it. This is the one that takes a little bit of research, though, because this might not be something you're tapped into. It might not be something you're currently familiar with, but it does not hurt to do a little bit of digging and find out what sports travel teams are in your area. And maybe you're familiar with a certain sport already. Maybe you do a lot of work with local high school football teams. So go do some digging and find out if there's a local travel football team that you can be servicing. So that's my point, is to try and think outside the box a little bit. And this is where the internet is your friend. The internet is your friend. Okay, so of course, all what we talked about today, everything I've shown you is all done via heat press. I've seen you guys talking about it actually, heat presses and pressing things. Actually, the little chat windows. There's been a lot of them, so I haven't been able to read everything. But everything that we talked about today is done with a heat press. It all starts with a heat press. Here at Transfer Express, we do sell the Hotronics brand heat presses. Cadillac in the industry. I find it funny how often we have customers contact us and say, hey, I just inherited my father's Hotronics heat press. I don't know how it works. Hey, I just bought this Hotronics off of the internet, and it's a couple of years old, but it's in great working condition. So definitely the top of the line heat presses. So if you're thinking of a new press, if you need a press, or if you were interested in that travel topic we talked about earlier, definitely Hotronics is the way you want to go. And if you are interested in that travel topic we talked about earlier, we do have very portable heat presses, and in the webinar recording section of transferexpress.com, you can hit that webinar, and I actually talk specifically about which heat presses are best to travel with. So definitely worth thinking about. And for those of you out there in listening land who don't have a heat press yet, Hotronics is the way to go. Hit transferexpress.com, and we will tell you all about why Hotronics is worth it. And I have talked about this throughout the entire webinar today, the EasyView Online Designer. The EasyView Online Designer is a fantastic tool for everything we've talked about. Our EasyView Online Designer, again, to access it, you simply need a dealer ID number and a password. You log on and you can access any of the designs in our idea book. You can customize them, you can change the text, change the clip arts, but what's amazing is it's totally interactive. Think of it as junior graphic design software for free right there on our website. Janice is giving it the thumbs up. She's totally not been paid. The EasyView Online Designer is a fantastic tool for everything we've talked about. Plus, if you joined me in the past, you know we've talked about making flyers and how to make flyers. EasyView is fantastic for making designs to put on flyers, that kind of stuff. So definitely check it out. Play with it if you haven't. After you make your design, make sure to go hit the preview and share feature at the bottom right. It is phenomenal. If you're interested in all of the abilities that EasyView has, hit our webinars again, the recorded webinars. I did a whole 45-minute, actually it might have been more like an hour webinar on what EasyView is capable of doing. So definitely check it out. Okay, guys. We're starting to wrap up here, and as always, I want to encourage all of you, if you have input, ideas for future webinars, questions, comments, concerns, email us, info@transferexpress.com. The marketing department puts out a phenomenal blog at Transfer Express. They update it 4 times a week. Phenomenal ideas. The things that we've talked about today in this webinar, some of them have been discussed on the blog already, so definitely a lot of really neat things. Give us a call, hit our blog, and if I did not answer some of your questions today, if I missed some, because you've been a really talkative group. There's a lot of things that have popped up that I haven't had a chance to read. So if I missed your questions, you'll be getting an email with answers to your questions. And I want to throw it all out there. I will be joining you all again next month, July 10th. At 2 o'clock as always, and we're going to be starting your own t-shirt line. So a topic that we've never done before. It's going to be a lot of fun, actually. So definitely sign up once you get a chance, and I look forward to seeing you then. As always, thank you so much for joining. I'll see you there. See you there, Yvette and Brenda. And yes, LaDonna, I totally apologize. I forgot to mention there is a recording. I am recording this right now, and it will be posted to transferexpress.com in the next day or so. So thank you, everybody, so much for joining today. I appreciate it. You've been a great group, very talkative, and I hope these ideas at least drive you towards something that you haven't been able to do before, trying something new, putting yourself out into a market, and be patient. Give it a little effort and be patient. So have a fantastic day, everybody. I look forward to seeing all of you next month. So take care.